Niccolò Machiavelli once wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose." But what most fail to understand is that his words were never meant to promote cruelty for its own sake. They were a warning. A warning about how the appearance of goodness, honesty, and virtue, when not strategically wielded, becomes a liability, a path to self-destruction. In this modern world of optics, politics, relationships, and silent warfare, your enemies are rarely your declared opponents. They're often hidden in plain sight, and it is often your own well-intentioned behavior, the so-called honest mistakes, that arms them with the very weapons they need to destroy you. Machiavelli was not advocating for evil. He was advocating for awareness, for clarity, for brutal self-responsibility in a world where others are not bound by your morals. And so, this is your guide, your armor, your fire. These are the 8 honest mistakes that people make, not because they're bad, but because they're unaware. And these are the mistakes that Machiavelli would tell you, without hesitation, will hand your enemies all the power. The first mistake is believing that being liked guarantees safety. You've been told all your life to be agreeable, to keep the peace, to be liked. But Machiavelli knew that a ruler who sought to be loved by all would soon be devoured by those closest to him. The harsh reality? Being liked is not the same as being respected. And in the absence of respect, affection becomes meaningless. People may smile at you, compliment you, praise your generosity, but if they do not respect your boundaries, your strength, and your independence, they will abandon you when you need them most. Worse, they may turn on you. Those who fear losing your approval will rarely betray you. But those who feel entitled to your kindness will betray you the moment you stop feeding their comfort. The second mistake is believing that truth always prevails. Machiavelli understood that truth, while noble, is not the default winner in life. Power is, influence is, control of perception is. You may believe that speaking the truth is enough, that being honest will naturally lead to justice. But the world is not structured to reward truth. It is structured to reward strength. Your enemies win not because their lies are stronger, but because their lies are more palatable. They manipulate narratives. They package deception with charm. They appeal to emotion. And while you fight for truth, they fight to control the frame. And in war, the frame is everything. Truth without strategic delivery is noise. Truth without power is useless. The third mistake is assuming loyalty is permanent. This is one of the most heartbreaking but vital truths Machiavelli delivers. Loyalty is not eternal. It is conditional. It is tied to benefit. If someone sees more advantage in betraying you than in standing beside you, they will. You may have fought for someone, defended them, uplifted them. You may have proven your loyalty over and over. But if you are no longer useful, or worse, if someone convinces them they'd be better off without you, your past sacrifices will be erased. Not because they were meaningless, but because people are forgetful. They are emotional, and they are self-interested. Do not resent them. Anticipate them. As Machiavelli warned, men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous. He was not condemning mankind. He was preparing you for it. The fourth mistake is giving without leverage. Generosity is a noble trait, but giving without positioning yourself to gain influence is a weakness. Every favor you grant, every resource you share, every effort you offer should be weighed not in terms of morality, but strategy. Machiavelli would not tell you to stop giving. He would tell you to stop giving blindly. Ask yourself, what do I gain from this? How does this elevate my position? If it doesn't, you're not being generous, you are being used. And in a world where perception is power, even your generosity can be weaponized against you. Your enemies love when you are overly generous. It creates dependency. It gives them control. And worse, it makes them forget that they ever needed you. Give, but give with purpose. Give with terms. Give in ways that make your presence valuable, not replaceable. The fifth mistake is expecting fairness from the world. Machiavelli never believed in fairness. He believed in advantage, in positioning, in dominance. The idea that the world will treat you fairly because you are good is perhaps the most dangerous lie ever told. When you play by rules that others don't honor, you are not noble. You are naive. Your enemies will not spare you because you played fair. They will punish you because you did. Because they don't have to. Fairness is a myth upheld by the weak to restrain the strong. Machiavelli would urge you to replace the word fair with effective. Don't ask if something is fair. Ask if it works. Ask if it protects you. Ask if it increases your power. That is how empires are built, not on fairness, but on strategy. The sixth mistake is over-explaining your intentions. Transparency is often mistaken for honesty. But in Machiavellian terms, transparency is vulnerability. The more you explain, justify, or reveal your inner workings, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. Your enemies love when you overshare. They study your words. They find your weaknesses. They store your confessions as ammunition. And then, at the perfect time, they strike. A man who moves in silence, who reveals little, who allows others to project onto him, holds power. He cannot be predicted. He cannot be controlled. Machiavelli praised deception not as dishonesty, but as protection. Let people underestimate you. Let them wonder. Mystery creates fear. Fear creates control. The seventh mistake is forgiving too easily and too often. Mercy, when overused, breeds contempt. Your enemies interpret your forgiveness not as strength, but as softness, as permission. Machiavelli understood that people test limits. If there are no consequences for betrayal, betrayal will multiply. Forgive too easily, and you teach others that your pain has no price, that your loyalty is unconditional, that they can cut you and still eat from your hand. This does not mean you must be cruel. It means you must be calculated. Mercy must be earned. Forgiveness must be rare. And those who wrong you must remember the sting, not because you are petty, but because pain is a powerful teacher. Be kind, but never allow kindness to be mistaken for passivity. And finally, the eighth mistake is thinking your silence guarantees peace. There are times when silence is strength, when observation and restraint are necessary. But silence in the face of disrespect, in the face of lies, in the face of attacks, that kind of silence is surrender. Machiavelli would call it cowardice wrapped in diplomacy. Your enemies interpret your silence as permission, as fear, as consent. They grow louder as you grow quieter. And soon, they become the authors of your story. There are moments when you must speak, when you must act, when you must remind the world that you are not a man to be disrespected. Do not fear confrontation. Fear becoming invisible. Fear irrelevance. Fear the erosion of your influence. Because in a world where people fight to be heard, the man who remains silent too long will be forgotten, or worse, remembered as weak. So what does this leave us? These 8 honest mistakes are not sins. They are not evil. They are the missteps of the unaware, the noble, the kind-hearted, the man who believed that goodness alone would shield him. But Machiavelli's world, and ours, is not kind. It is cunning. It rewards those who understand the rules, not those who hope the rules will change. You do not need to become cruel. You do not need to betray your values. But you must become aware. You must become strategic. You must understand that in a world where others will use your goodness against you, blind virtue is not strength, it is suicide. Your enemies are watching, not always with malice, but always with interest. Every action you take, every word you speak, every line you draw or fail to draw becomes part of your power or part of your downfall. So learn, adapt, harden, and most of all, never hand over your power through the very honesty you thought would save you. This is the Machiavelli Guide, where power is studied and illusions are destroyed.